Hello everyone, this is Ojasvi Jain and today we have a very special guest. Her name is Supriya. She has done bachelor in a computer science. Right now she is working as a front-end developer in a CK12 Foundation. It's a edutech related firm. The amazing thing about her is that she is an open source contributor and she has participated in so many tech conferences not as an attendee, as a speaker, like React Play, JS Lover, CTJS India, and so many conferences. So today we will going to understand her experience. So before that discussion, I would like to request Supriya just give us brief about yourself, and then we will move ahead with our discussion.
Definitely. Yeah, sure. Thanks for listening. Hi, everyone. My name is Supriya. I'm currently working as a front-end developer, but I hold an overall experience of around 5 years in the tech. I started out as a fresh computer science engineering grad and initially got into the backend world where I dealt with Java, Spring Boot, and etc. Slowly, I figured out what JavaScript was and moved into the front-end world, and currently I'm still exploring how the front end world goes on. So let's see what holds next.
Yeah. Okay. So my first question is, I mean, as a fresher candidate, means like BTech में हम कुछ पता नहीं होता. It's very new for everything.
True.
तो how you have decided कि नहीं मुझे तो इसी रोल में जाना है. It's just a coincidence कि मुझे पहली जॉब मिल गई and just going on in that journey, or it's the kind of targeting, like you are targeting that role, preparing hard for that. How exactly things happen in your case?
So for me, I got an exposure towards how coding works since my plus two. So I started out with C programming, and
Yeah.
the initial bit itself, I fell in love with how you write code, how you instruct the program to do something that you want. But gradually, that's when I decided I'd be taking computer science in the engineering. So when you go into computer
Hmm.
science engineering, you get an exposure to a lot of things. You have how databases work, how OS works, and what software architecture to follow. You just get a glimpse of all the things available,
Correct.
how things work currently. So
Correct.
with that, I got some understanding on where I can focus on what my interest was in. We also had an optional subject which was Java. That's where I learned Java, how Java programming works. And
Mm-hmm.
gradually, that's how I picked up and built a few college related projects. So I was confident that I'm able to build projects, and I'm gaining that interest in it. So through my
Okay.
first jobs, it gives you a lot more exposure than what you've
Hmm.
studied. So I would say once you study,
Definitely.
you'll get some idea on okay, these things are there. And once you go
Mm-hmm.
into the job, that's when you start trying out. So I started out with Java.
Hmm.
Only through my job, I
Okay.
understood that whatever Java I learned during my college days was just like a scratch of it, and there's a lot more to it.
Hmm.
So while working with the projects in my work, that's when I
Hmm.
also went further to understand how what is that MVC pattern works, the model view controller, and Spring Boot, those things. So
Okay.
when I dealt with that, so that is when I started building a complete web application using the backend framework. And Java has something called as
Okay.
JSP pages, JavaScript server pages. So that's where I
Okay.
started learning or understanding what front end is. From there,
Hmm.
I looked into okay, as a HTML, CSS is like the basics.
Hmm.
There's something called as JavaScript. When I became curious to
Hmm.
understand, I initially, like all the beginners do, thought that because the name was JavaScript, I thought it was going to be
Hmm.
similar to Java, and I said, let's
Hmm.
learn it. But once I
Okay.
started learning it, I figured out those two different things, way different than
Hmm.
each other.
Hmm.
Initially, that's how I got started with that side of things. So I
Okay.
would say it purely comes from you give your hands, try out a few things. It's okay if it doesn't work out, if you're not
Hmm.
interested in it. I tried out Python for a few months. I kind of wanted to learn that because data science was going around, but
Hmm.
I'm not happy with the way they write their syntax coming from a Java background.
Hmm.
I just left it there. Maybe some other day I might take it up. So that's how it was.
Nice. So you have first opt Java language, then just by just confusion, like Java Java है तो JavaScript भी same ही होगा. and then you learn JavaScript, you explore that Python as well. So like amazing, amazing. So okay, so you tell, I mean, मैं जैसा understand कर पा रही हूँ, it's just by coincidence कि first job मिला Java में, and just you are exploring things one by one, and then you learned JavaScript. I mean, it's not a easy things. When it's switching
Right.
to the one language to the another language, it's not at all a easy things. Just want to understand कि how much time you dedicated, of sources you use. I mean,
Hmm.
structure एक structure way में source मिलना, वो भी back 2018. It's difficult. Right now there are so many contents available, so many like folks are discussing about the path and everything. But at that time एक structured way में मिलना कि ये
Correct.
learn करना चाहिए, then ये learn करना चाहिए, it's very difficult. So how you just structured the things for.
Hmm. So when I started out, when I got my first job, I was pretty confident on at least the syntax side of how Java works because I'd learned Java through my college. And in my work also, we had like the training period where they taught us extensively for like 2 to 3 months on how how the whole pattern works and the deployment process. So I would say generally you learn hands-on or only they say no, only when you burn your hand is where you figure out what mistakes you've done and how you can do better. So only when you get started on actual production code and deal with it, that's when you get the seriousness to learn more and you'll be interested to understand where you're making mistakes and what
Hmm.
you shouldn't do. So
True.
that's how I learned on the back end side. But when it came to front end, that was like I did that for 2.5 years. So around 2020
Okay.
when COVID hit, because everyone was locked down at home,
Ah.
parallel to my
Mm-hmm.
work, I started learning JavaScript on my own. So initially, I
Okay.
started learning it on my own just by going through all the docs available. But that became very
Mm-hmm.
confusing because I did not have a organized way of doing it. Like right now, I can say there's something called roadmaps available on,
Mm-hmm.
but previously when I
Mm-hmm.
was, or at least I couldn't find it out then. So that's where I
Mm-hmm.
came across a web development cohort. It was called NeoG Camp. It was just starting out then. Uh,
Okay.
and the contents of the cohort was very clear, saying anybody who doesn't know anything at all for them from the beginning till the fundamentals, you'll be able to figure out how front end works and get
Okay.
good hands-on React. So
Okay.
this was like an extensive 4 to 6 months of a course. So at that point,
Okay.
I was parallelly working. So 9 to 5, 9 to 6, I used to do
Hmm.
my back end wala job.
Hmm.
6 to 8, 8:30, I used to learn. उसके बाद dinner. उसके बाद then I used to sit and do projects there. This
Hmm.
chain was continuous even on weekends. Weekends में बहुत सारे teaching classes होते थे.
अच्छा.
I would
Okay.
say I had a very rigorous 4 months
Hmm.
and I was able to
Hmm.
achieve it because everyone was sitting at home. It's not that I was missing out something and I did something else. So we were all forced
Hmm.
to sit at home, so this is how I utilized my time.
Took a boot camp courses for in your learning journey. Okay.
Right.
Definitely now so many unstructured things से पढ़ना, it's a kind of a difficult, but still I want to know कि back to 2018 में you took a course, but now if you want to suggest someone just who like वो भी आपकी तरह it's the same situation, उसको भी कुछ नया learn करना है, curious है, सो व्हाट यू विल सजेस्ट कि अभी कैसे लर्न करना चाहिए, कोर्सेज लेना चाहिए, यूट्यूब से लर्न करना चाहिए, बिकॉज नाउ देयर आर सो मेनी प्लेटफॉर्म्स
Right.
आर देयर, सो
Right.
हाउ एग्जैक्टली दैट्स वन शुड अप्रोच द लर्निंग नाउ.
Okay. I think 2018 was a very different place, a very different way. I started figuring out a lot of things online only post the COVID. So late 2020,
Hmm.
2021. That is when I started bringing in my online presence. So I would say I really don't know how before it worked. Maybe it was there and I also didn't stumble upon it. So Abhi, I think in this last 2 3 years, content creation has been like booming completely. So I would say
That's true.
YouTube is like filled with a lot of resources, but
That's true.
again, it's cluttered with
Hmm.
too much details. So
Hmm.
if you search for a topic, maybe if you just say React developer, beginner,
Hmm.
you get thousands of videos and you wouldn't know where to get started from.
Correct.
In the same fashion, even if you go on to normal search and say bootcamp for front end, there are so many ways where you get roadmaps, where they give you
Hmm.
content
Correct.
structures. So,
Correct.
according to me, I think for the freshers right now, firstly, I feel they're way advanced than what I was during their time. They're
That's
already
true.
in their first year itself, they're doing their
Hmm.
internship projects and doing a lot of things. I figured this out only
Hmm.
after 2, 3 years of working in the industry.
Hmm.
But then, if you're someone who is clueless right now or needs some direction, I would
Hmm.
say
Hmm.
just do these things in the beginning. Like do your searches on your
Hmm.
search a lot of courses contents available.
Hmm.
If they're free, I would suggest stick on to one course at a time. Go through it,
Hmm.
and you'll be able
Hmm.
to, like the first course which you do, you'll be able to pick up a lot of things from there. And if you're
Hmm.
still not confident in a topic, then you view the similar courses specific to those points. Let's say you started out with React. I would suggest to finish your JavaScript basics and then
Hmm.
start with React. React
Hmm.
may initially you talk about hooks, use
Hmm.
state, use effect, those things. Maybe you
Hmm.
started out with the playlist, finish the playlist. I would say learn as much as you can from the playlist. Then go into those topics which you're not clear about. Let's say you've not understood how use effect completely works.
Hmm.
If you're a
Hmm.
video person, check out a few more videos. That is fine.
Hmm.
But if you're not comfortable with
Okay.
videos, I would highly recommend start reading the documentation first. Like their official
Hmm.
documentation is really, really good. I
Hmm.
say I that's how I learned React. Their documentation is like the best. If you're
Hmm.
still not able to make sense of what is written there, there are a lot of bloggers available, including me. I've written a lot of
Hmm.
tech. Uh,
Okay.
Go through that. They would have explained with detailed examples with the code.
Okay.
Understand that. Implement those code on your own. So you'll get a strong hold on this concept now. It's not that I
Okay.
just see a video and I'm done. So if you do
Okay.
this whole process just for one topic,
Hmm.
you're pretty confident in how that works. So
Hmm.
any
Hmm.
app that you're building, any logic that you need to apply, you know that yes, this is the place I want to use my use effect. So
Hmm.
go
That's
deep
true.
into whatever you're learning. Don't just get overwhelmed. If everyone is talking that uh,
Hmm.
whether I'm missing out viewing their video because I'm seeing this. It really,
Hmm.
if you understood the concept, anybody making the video, however good or bad,
Hmm.
you know what it is. So you're not missing out anything. So that's how I would say you can get started.
Correct. Okay. Okay. So what I can understand it कि सबसे पहले आपको इस इंडस्ट्री में तो आना ही पड़ेगा. Whatever ways it internship or a job, then
Right.
only you can understand the okay culture कैसा है, how exactly should I approach, है ना. और तभी आप एक तरीके से हैंड्स ऑन कर पाएंगे कि यार मुझे जावा लर्न करना है, जावास्क्रिप्ट लर्न करना है, बिकॉज देयर इज सो मेनी थिंग्स, सो मेनी टेक्नोलॉजी एंड यू कांट लर्न एवरीथिंग. You can't learn only one thing at a time.
Honestly, yeah.
And then yeah, or I think as a fresher if you unable to understand the things कि कहाँ से मुझे learn करना चाहिए तो पढ़ के तो just take that course,
Correct.
purchase it, just go through it and then you will get an idea. Okay, यहाँ से मुझे समझ में आ रहा है but मुझे और समझना है इस topic को, then you go for the free courses, free contents like that.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
So you deep dwell, and you'll be by that time. You after a few months, you'll be able to figure out what is working well for you, what is not working well for you. So then it becomes more personalized way. Like I can't generically say that this is the one which
Ah,
works for you, but you'll have to go through
correct.
this process to figure out what works well.
So, okay, so as I said as well, you are a open source contributor. I mean, it's a big term for me. I mean, मतलब fresher से open source contributor, जैसे React library, it's a open source library, and you are contributing something to it. I mean, it's a very mind blowing thing. So,
Yes.
I just want to understand it. What exactly the open source contribution is? First I want to understand first this terminology and then is कि how can I contribute it. I mean if I also want to contribute.
Hmm. Okay. In simple terms, what open source means, it's available for all for free. Open is being open. So your source code itself is available for you to access completely. React is such a big library. But if you
Hmm.
want to understand, if you're really serious enough to and deeply interested enough to understand the internals of how use effect works, because I was taking the same example when you're learning. Let's say
Hmm.
you began learning and then now you've seen a lot of resources, read a lot of things, you've understood confidently. But after a point, maybe you're still curious to understand in detail on how exactly this hook has been built and how is it being able to perform all this. So you can go into Facebook Meta's React GitHub repository. So their GitHub code is available to you, like open. So that's how open source works. So you can go and click each and every minute level of code available there and try to understand. So when you're beginning, let's say if you're getting into a job or internship also, you would go into a particular company, right? And they would always have their code base ready. It's very rare that you get to be a founding engineer where you start from scratch. So
Correct.
you have done
Correct.
projects on your own from scratch, but that's not how it would be when you join a job. You'll be asked to go through a existing code base, understand
Hmm.
this, and then make tweaks and add your new features into it.
Hmm.
So I felt this was a good starting point for me to understand how other code bases work, how bigger code bases work, how they're maintaining a lot of code under one repository, and still it is performant optimization. When all those little bit advanced topics come into your mind, when you get curious on how to learn them, that's when you can start looking into very smaller code bases. It need not be you jump directly into React. So I'm actively contributing to this community called React Play. It's also
Okay.
an open source community where all the
Okay.
React developers or aspiring developers who would like to learn React from
Hmm.
under this community, like-minded folks are together. So
Hmm.
we learn together. Learning together is much more faster than you trying to learn on your own individually, right? So in this
Correct.
React Play organization, we
Hmm.
have our app where we like individuals post our new projects, whatever projects we learn from. We upload them, deploy them on the platform, and you can also like discuss with the other folks on where I was doing better or what can I improve. So you get a good feedback also here, and you can go and look into others' apps, their ideas, and think about how you can build them. So in a way, you kind of become a better developer by going through these code, right? So that's how the open source starts. So start
Hmm.
somewhere small. It's nothing. You just need to go into anything which is available to you, any repository that's available to you, which you can understand, and start
Hmm.
looking into the code base and maybe see where you can put your inputs. Maybe there was a better optimization technique that you could use.
Hmm.
Something was used a lot of use states, but you want to convert it to use reducer effect and then use reducer approach and then show that your code can be cleaner and understanding can be better. So all you need to do is like pull a copy of this repo within your directory, your private repo, make those changes, and raise a pull request to the original user saying this is what I have done
Okay.
and this is what I feel like would be the improvement. Hence, I
Okay.
went ahead and do it. So you're going to be proactive on doing your contribution. It's something which you are doing. It's not out of force that you're being asked to do. So in this way, you can like you get to learn a lot,
Okay.
you
Okay.
network
It's kind
along
of
with
voluntary contribution.
exactly. You also get to understand how others write their code. Again, it's all about learning. So continuous learning.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Just I want to know कि आपने कितने ओपन सोर्स लाइब्रेरीज में कंट्रीब्यूट किया है मतलब कौन
Okay.
कौन सी वो है
So I
प्रोजेक्ट्स.
started out. There's this October May. You have something called Hacktoberfest. It's become pretty famous now. So that's
ओके.
how you kind of leverage that Hacktoberfest to start contributing to open source. Basically, if you're a beginner and you're not knowing where to contribute, this Hacktoberfest is a way where you get a collation of all the repository which are open source, and there are issues
ओके.
where you say it's beginner friendly, good to start with, and all those. So that's how I started out, and that is how I found React Play also there.
ओके.
And initially, that was almost like maybe React Play was formed around 1 or 2 months before I found it, and since
ओके.
then it's almost 2 years now. It's growing massively. We are almost like
हम्म.
10,000 plus folks now into the community.
ओके ओके सो व्हाट आई अंडरस्टूड इज कि अगर आप कुछ लर्निंग स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं तो जस्ट कनेक्ट विद कम्युनिटीज कनेक्ट विद लाइक सुप्रिया से भी आप लिंक्डइन पे कनेक्ट हो सकते हैं शी इज पोस्टिंग सो मेनी थिंग्स सो ऐसी ऐसी नॉलेज भी बढ़ती है ऐसे हम लाइक ट्रेंड को समझ पाते हैं अपग्रेडेड रहते हैं हमेशा
Absolutely.
राइट so okay so now everyone is saying like AI so everywhere is like sounds like that ke AI will replace front end developer role or it's dangerous for the developers so as you told me like कि you are participating in a so many conferences where senior persons भी होंगे like junior भी
Mhm.
होंगे तो according to your aspects like how you think कि वाकई क्या एआई टूल रिप्लेस कर सकता है क्या आई मीन वाकई एआई टूल्स में इतनी पावर है कि जो हम लॉजिकली सोच रहे हैं तो वो इतना लॉजिकली सोच पा रहा है व्हाट एग्जैक्टली द सिनेरियो इज अकॉर्डिंग टू यू
As of now, I think I might be a little not so perfectly being able to answer this because I'm using very few tools. Like I'm trying to figure out and learn new AI tools. I'm in that phase now, as everyone else. But I'm
hmm
also I'm putting my interests of learning more on the front end domain and understanding deep dwell into how performance optimization those things work rather than majoritively giving focus into what AI can do to replace. Of course, with AI, I feel at least for me right now, it acts as an enabler. So let's say I want to learn, I go through a documentation. I've understood basically what it works, how it works. I try to write a code on my own out of it, and then things are failing. I go through the syntax errors, and I'm able to figure out a few things. So I can tweak that. All this is the regular development process how it used to work. But for me, AI has acted as an enabler or speed enhancer that I can go through
hmm
and at least I can get those templates ready. Then I put it in my code, I
correct
figure out what it is. And then I just say, okay, these are the kind of issues I'm getting in. So maybe like I can fix them in a better manner. And it's more like a pair programmer with me. The AI acts as a pair
hmm
programmer rather than just giving out answers. So there are
hmm
instances where I feel that what I have written is more optimized than what the AI has given me as
hmm
a solution.
hmm
At the moment, for sure, AI can't replace a front end engineer, but you know that for machines to pick up and learn faster than human is always there. Like उसके लिए कोई और
hmm
काम ही नहीं होता ना. Humans have a lot of other things to do. Work is
yes
hard for us, but
hmm
machine just has to do the same old thing again and again and pick up new things, and that's all. That's all about AI, right? You're learning artificially into yourself. So there might be a time where it might be improved a lot, but
hmm
when that time comes, I'm sure human would be able to pick up or do something in their
better
capability way better than the machine. So there cannot be
hmm
anything that the machine can replace you forever. Maybe humans will evolve more and say, okay, front end was very easy now. Let's do something more complex. There would be
hmm
something that comes up. So I wouldn't
yeah
say
definitely
being this fear ke front end is taken in that
hmm
I can't aim to do it. I would always say if you're really passionate about it, you should still step in. If you're coming purely by listening to other people and saying everyone is into front end, so I'm into front end, that is a
hmm
different ballgame altogether. You're being forced into doing something. And
hmm
eventually your interest will die if you're being forced into something.
that's
So
true
yeah, AI will always be your buddy. Like you
hmm
can as much help as you want, but be cautious that you use your brain even if it.
hmm Hmm. Definitely. Yeah, that's true. Even I'm also using these tools for generating a static HTML part and
It
fine.
improves you to increase your speed, so you're more productive.
Hmm. Now more productive. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this is my last question, and let's wrap up our discussion with that question. What would you suggest for the person who just started their learning journey एंड वांट टू बी अ प्रोफिशिएंट क्योंकि एक टारगेट लेकर तो लर्न करना ही पड़ता है अदरवाइज हम फोकस्ड होकर टारगेट फोकस होकर लर्न नहीं करते हैं तो वी जस्ट डाइवर्ट इट सो exactly according to your experience कि हाँ इतना learning journey तो देना ही पड़ेगा, इतना time तो देना ही पड़ेगा dedicatedly.
Okay. I can only turn from my experience, and because
Hmm.
you put the question very nicely, I would say for a developer who wants to do it, I would take this very importantly because as of now, what I see in the industry is because everyone are there, people are there, and
Hmm.
you're not doing it wholeheartedly, whatever you're learning. Because I'll have to do it eventually because I need a job and a lot of other factors come into picture, so you're doing this. I would say if
Hmm.
somebody is really passionate about it, they'll surely find ways to go about how to learn. With
Okay.
respect to me itself, I have been constantly learning. Every single day, I read a few blogs, and every weekend, I try to make it to most of the meetups. Not that
Hmm.
my like target, but when I go
Hmm.
to meetups, there will be very different types of talks which happens. Some of them I might be able to relate to. Some of them I don't know at all, and something new it is. For example,
Hmm.
last year I attended a conference where they discussed about 3JS animation and
Hmm.
building three-dimensional structures using React. So that was very interesting for me to learn. Saying, okay, React maybe ये सब हो सकते हैं. And
Okay.
there were talks around PWA recently, progressive web apps. We are already working in
Hmm.
web apps in our work. So it was a
Okay.
very nice conversation to have with that speaker on to deep dwelling into how we have done versus how they have done. So this is
Okay.
how working works. So these things come out of
Hmm.
passion. So if you're really liking something, you'll find the ways to go about and improve. I would
Hmm.
not want to say follow a particular roadmap, then you would be successful because the definition for success is completely different for all. And I'm also still walking in that path, and I wouldn't say like I'm successful anywhere. So
Hmm.
if you're contentful and happy, then I think in a way you're
Hmm.
successful. You should just feel happy about what you're doing right now. You can always reach out to folks for asking advices and say, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I feel might take me to the next level. Is that right according to you? So they give their perspectives, their
Hmm.
inputs. And again, consider these inputs purely as their suggestion and opinion, not as a hard bound rule कि इन्होंने कह दिया ये let's say
Hmm.
वो Microsoft में है and you'll be like हाँ इन्होंने
हाँ.
Microsoft के लिए कह दिया so doing this I can go there. Don't fall into such things. Follow your
Hmm.
own path. If you want to really get into a FANG, there are a lot of resources available. Just follow them and be true to what you're doing, and sure,
Hmm.
you would be able to get it. In the same fashion, whatever, let's say you want to upskill to a senior developer now, try to understand the deep term stuff of how optimization, performance, how you can improve and scale your app, and be as open as possible to try out other frameworks and libraries. Don't be sticking just to React. React might be
Hmm.
saturated now. Even with the
Yeah.
React 19, which should eventually come up in May, they're announcing the updates. They're
Hmm.
saying
Hmm.
you need not use at all. Hooks just came a few years ago. It's already evolved in the same. Don't use these hooks anymore. So things come and go. Don't be stuck to it and put your heart into it, is what I would say.
Yep, great. So I mean, just follow the path and just figure out कि okay ये मेरे लिए work कर रहा है तो मुझे यही
Correct.
करना चाहिए. Like it's kind of own discovery kind of.
Read a lot of
Yeah.
things. Try and see what works for you, what doesn't. Definitely
Hmm.
take feedback because that feedback loop helps. Don't be isolated and say what you're doing is only right, and also don't be that whatever they said is only right.
Hmm.
And amalgamation of all is where you would be eventually going up.
Yep. Definitely. So this is all about our discussion related to the learning, related her experience, open source contribution. Hope you like that one. Thank you so much, Supriya, for taking a time to discuss with us. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was fun doing it. I'm really glad that a lot of few folks will be able to at least relate to what I say, or maybe it is helpful. I'm pretty active on Twitter and LinkedIn. I can share my socials in the same, and happy to connect.
So all the links, social media links present in the description section or the first comment section. So definitely you can connect with her on a LinkedIn, Twitter or other social media platforms. So see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.